Prices keep going up. And the clock keeps ticking. So the White House has started to change its message on inflation, even though President Joe Biden has limited resources to fight the crisis. The president stepped up his efforts to draw contrasts with Republicans, unleashing a number of new lines of attack on Tuesday in a speech delivered amid a barrage of sobering headlines about rising costs and interest rates. America has yet to make a choice. A choice between government by the few, for the few, Biden said at an AFL-CIO union convention in Philadelphia. Or one government for all of us, one democracy for all of us, one economy where we all have a fair chance. But as the midterms fast approach, voters' patience appears to be running out, and the president and party in power are ready to pay the political price. Dan Pfeiffer said, "The political environment is brutal for Democrats. There are few economic issues more politically painful than high food and gas prices, and we are heading towards high-stakes midterms," he continued saying, considering that reality trumps messaging. And there is no silver bullet that will make people feel better about themselves in a tough economy. The best thing the White House can do right now is show voters that they're trying forces behind rising costs, the pandemic, global stimulus packages, supply chain snarls, Russia's invasion of Ukraine, were taking place well outside of Biden's control. But the government has been criticized for being slow to act and slow to adapt its messages. The White House originally believed that inflation, which started last year, would be temporary and possibly even clear by this summer when voters began to think about November. Then, after that assumption was proven wrong, there was a belief that it had peaked in April and would soon begin to decline. But that also turned out to be wrong. Prices rose 8.6% in May from a year earlier, the highest level in 40 years, according to the latest consumer price index released on Friday. In addition, prices rose faster last month than in April, suggesting that inflation has not yet peaked. As the bad numbers mounted, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen publicly admitted the obvious, saying the government got it wrong on inflation. The statement, while true, was met with grimaces in the West Wing, where aides noted that most leading forecasters and the Federal Reserve were also wrong. In fact, the task of fighting inflation falls primarily to the Fed, which is expected to hike interest rates by as much as 0.75 percentage point higher than expected at its Wednesday meeting. But it's unknown how much inflation will slow before November, and the issue has consumed Biden's top advisor and threatened to overwhelm both his domestic and international agendas. Senior White House advisors have repeatedly huddled together to urge authorities to seek steps to cut costs for Americans. Biden, meanwhile, has expressed frustration to aides at not being able to do more, blaming the hand he inherited from President Donald Trump and citing inflation at West Wing meetings for days as called the curse of our existence. He repeated the line last week during a late-night television interview. Polls suggest that inflation is more of a concern than the war in Europe or the recent spate of mass shootings with voters, with the midterm elections less than 5 months away. Looking at the calendar, the White House has made a fresh push to restate how it is tackling rising costs. Democrats, too, have escalated their attacks on Republicans, urging them not to come up with solutions of their own, while endorsing some of the measures, including economic plans enacted by Trump, that help trigger soaring prices. Biden himself has singled out a plan by Senator Rick Scott to continue the GOP's efforts to hurt working Americans and has fought back claims that the government has overheated the economy under spending programs enacted during the pandemic. In terms of gas prices, Biden released an unprecedented amount from strategic oil reserves. On Tuesday, the government announced that the president would travel to Saudi Arabia next month on a visit, part of which will be aimed at getting the kingdom to produce more oil. Biden had repeatedly expressed his reluctance to visit a nation he once considered a pariah and to meet with